Now, as it relates to housing development, I want you now judge our plan from theirs. I hear they've touted 50,000 house lots. And then, by some coincidence, 50,000 jobs. So we're playing around with this 50,000. Maybe by election time, it will reach 100,000. When one other person say they will also do 50,000, there's going to go 100,000. What we are accustomed to here is that they give you a house lot. They don't develop the area, right? Give you a house lot and feel proud of it. I mean, these are people who never run a cake shop, but they feel proud they give you a house lot. Now, the house lot has no utilities, has no drainage, no water, no electricity, many times no road. Right? Look at the scheme down in Sophia and the one side of it in industry area there. I mean, people started to build and they wait years to get water and electricity. The roads are still mud roads there, right? On to this day. They did the same in Tushen, right? They did a little better in Diamond. But what they did in Diamond and Tushen and all these areas, they put all the masses, people like us, they put them in Diamond and Tushen, right? And then they say, you know what? All the thousands of acres before Diamond, we're going to share it out to the boys. And we're going to give this one 800 acres, that one 1,000 acres, that one sell it back to a Chinese, you know, and that's how the cycle of corruption continues. I mean, it's a heartless, unpatriotic administration, both of them, heartless and unpatriotic, to put the poor people in a camp like and share out the rest of the lands at Diamond, very valuable lands. Why not give, as Nigel said, give everybody in the country, let's say, not 5,000 square feet, come on, give them 10,000 even. They could have do better, right? So listen to our plan now. We will set up a housing development corporation, private sector oriented, professionally managed, right? So we take away the function from CH&PA, from the president and all the ministers of housing. This one statutory private sector oriented company will handle housing development, not giving house lots. We are holistic, professional management approach to the problem of housing. It will be professionally run based on private sector principles of efficiency, planning, and execution to build competitively priced low and middle income houses, not house lots, the house, including the drainage, proper roads, proper zoning, and a cycle of services around that community. So we're not giving house lots, we're building communities, right? But we're doing it in a price competitive way so that a small, if you give a house lot, one person might find it costs 10 million or 20 million. If it's done based on efficiency, mass produced, but well designed, right? You will find that the cost is so much less. Because when you buy in bulk, you receive, from my experience here, like half price. So this company that will report to Parliament, not the executive, will be in charge of housing and community development. We will give complete homes and communities instead of a house lot. We will ensure and make available low-cost financing for the buyers, and these will be aimed at low income, middle income. And allocation will be like teachers, nurses, police, low income earners. Give them a livelihood, raise their dignity, maintain their dignity as Guyanese. So we build communities. Now, after we build the communities, we have to provide the jobs, right? You don't build a community in Diamond and then every day, morning and afternoon, you have this horror of getting to Georgetown where the jobs are, right? You have to build economic opportunities around the community. So around every community, we'll have special economic zones with attractive fiscal incentives to incentivize job creation around these communities, right? And when you provide the jobs, you have to get cheap power, right? With the economic zone. So what we'll do, we'll have mini power grid based on renewables to provide low-cost electricity in these areas. So you have cheap power, business, the economic zone can function very profitably, you know, and that will provide the job creation. So this is what we call the balanced development that I refer to at our launch, the launch of Change Guyana 6 weeks ago, only 6 weeks ago. So be yourself, you judge our plan and their plan. The amount of time they talk about 50,000 house lots, just take 5 minutes and think your way through. That's how we will address problems. We'll first think about it, get professional advice, get into all the segments of it, dissect it, so that we can deal with all the issues before we start to do work. That's how we do business. That's how I do business. And that's how we should run a country. Now, some might say how you finance this. I mentioned how we'll finance, like the motor car policy, and expanding the consumption activity within the economy that will bring more government revenue. But there are other ways. Number one, I mentioned a lean, clean, transparent, and accountable government. We have an oversized government here. For example, without doing anything special or new, we raised the healthcare budget from 21 billion to 35 billion, 80%. Where the money went. So a clean, lean, accountable, transparent government will release resources for development, not government or public consumption. We will ensure that state corporations contribute their fair share to the national treasury. Right now, public corporations are so inefficiently run. They hardly make an impact. They hardly contribute. And when they make some money, all gone to the consolidated fund and nothing reinvested in those corporations. And the neglect of Gaisuko and the state of sugar workers today is a true illustration of what I'm talking about. Public corporations must not be a tax on taxpayers. It must generate income. Where it fails to generate income or profits, then it has to be privatized before it gets done further. But their attitude, sit back, somebody else will take on that problem. Just kick the can down the road. Somebody else's problem. We'll ensure that where a CEO of a public corporation doesn't do his job and don't generate the return based on the billions of dollars of assets that they sit on, that CEO will be fired. Wouldn't last 1 year. So we have a responsibility to people of this country to use their resources in a manner that generates benefits for them and a better life for all. We'll ensure financial discipline, the preoccupation with public consumption rather than investing a bigger share of our budget in areas that bring development, that raise productivity, that ensure that the traffic moves rather than spending 2 hours in traffic a day or more, will bring productivity, and with productivity bring efficiency and economic development. We'll inject the private sector level of efficiency I talk about. Government must also function on the basis of private sector levels of efficiency. And one of the mandates I will give is that if we can't get the same price or we can't do something at the same cost than the private sector, give it to the private sector. Our experience is that government pay double and triple the price for the same thing that the private sector can buy, even with buying billions of dollars at the same time. The inefficiency and the level of corruption is appalling. We will drain the swamp of corruption. I mentioned that at the launch. Drain the swamp of corruption. And I just want to give you some examples of this. And here is where the money will come from to finance the budget so that the impact of taxation on people becomes so much less and it stimulates investments and growth. Examples. Purchase of drugs under the PPP and APNO administrations. We all know the purchase of drugs and the level of corruption and the airport, and we see the prices as indicated by one newspaper. You know, what we are paying and what is available, even locally, at half that price, right? Purchase of drugs, millions and millions all over the years to friends of the administration. When it comes, bad storage, some of it expired, you know. Then we buy a whole year's supply of drugs, put it down in the warehouse. Some of it never came, and they get paid, you know. All those happening here. Divestment of state assets at peppercorn prices. We all know about this, right? Better government, here is where we save a lot of money. We get value for money. Failure of fiber optic cable after spending $26 million US. Where is it? You know, it can't be seen. Where is the fiber? It hasn't reached Georgetown yet. 30 million of NIS money, that bankrupt NIS, US dollars, went to CLECO. And we never took any action to recover it. The Trinidadian government took action and recovered theirs by freezing certain assets and restructuring the company and take over the assets. Our government took no action at all. Even with one of the assets that was sold here by CLECO for 20 million US dollars, this government never insists that this transport not passing until NIS get their money back. 30 million US dollar, a former president gave his friend, without any accountability. Road to Amalia Falls, costing 18 million US. They give 15 million as an advance. Which person in this room will give 15 million for a project that costs 18 million at the signing of a contract? A friend of a former president. There's where our money is going, and you understand what the point I'm making, why our taxes are high, why we remain poor. 200 million spent on Skeldon Sugar Factory. 200 million the bankrupt Gaisuko. These are the actions of governments that cause us to be in this situation, make public sector can't get a bonus. You know, we have to pay high taxes. Bailout to poorly run state corporations, two corporations in the last 10 years, costing the taxpayer $100 billion. We could have built 5 bridges across the Demerara River. We could have built another one at Barbies. We could have had massive power generation at Garden of Eden, rather than we have to go and beg for a $10 million loan to expand capacity in the oil sector. Look the amount of money that has gone waste, and look the opportunity cost of this. This is a failure, colossal failure of leadership. Failure of leadership at all levels, mostly at the top level, is responsible for the state of our country today. Poor choices inspired by ethnically dominated PPP and PNC APNU have repeatedly installed corrupt and incompetent leaders who mismanaged our economy, waste our resources, and bankrupt state corporations. They form big oversized state apparatus financed by high taxes that transferred income from the masses to the state, elevating poverty all across our country. Our youths are jobless, see no future ahead, are hopeless, and seize the first opportunity to migrate. 80% of UG graduates fled our shores. At the household level, parents find it hard to support a home, send kids to school, and have a normal life. The choice is ours, only ours. Voting for the two gangs that dominated our lives since independence would install them for another 50 years. Is this what we want for our country? I don't believe so. Let us not, ladies and gentlemen, Guyanese, our country, let us not be fooled again. Change Guyana give us that choice, the right choice, right now. Let us not fail ourselves this time around. Thank you.